Dr. Aaron Hale had always believed that science was meant to be predictable. Formulas worked, experiments followed rules, and the universe could be understood, piece by piece. But Alarian 6, a planet far from Earth, refused to follow any rules Aaron had ever known. Its sky glimmered with a green hue, and jagged cliffs rose like silent guardians around the small human outpost. Strange energy readings had drawn him here, and now he found himself walking alone along the rocky terrain, a tablet in his hands, logging every detail. Every so often, Aaron felt a presence, a flicker in his peripheral vision, a soft rustle behind a rock, a shadow that did not belong. The motion sensors at the outpost had triggered several times during the night, but the cameras never caught anything. At first, he blamed the wind or faulty equipment. But as the days passed, the feeling of being watched became impossible to ignore. Aaron stopped near a cliff edge, scanning the valley below. The wind whipped his hair against his face, carrying with it a faint, metallic tang that reminded him of iron. He squinted, certain he had seen movement. And then, he froze. High above on a ledge, just barely visible in the dim sunlight, was a figure. She was tall, her posture perfect, muscles toned and controlled, and her armor reflected the strange green light of the planet. Her hair flowed like dark liquid behind her, and her eyes were locked on him with an intensity that made his heart race. He stumbled backward and pressed himself against a boulder. Whoever or whatever she was, she did not belong on this world, and yet she moved as if the cliffs themselves obeyed her command. The figure stayed for a moment longer before disappearing behind a jagged outcrop. Aaron's mind raced. Alien life was supposed to be theoretical at this stage of human exploration, rare and distant. But here, a living, breathing alien warrior had observed him, unafraid and focused. And somehow, he had survived the encounter with nothing more than a fleeting glimpse. That night, Aaron could hardly sleep. The outpost was quiet, but every sound seemed magnified. The hum of the generator, the clatter of equipment in storage, even the subtle shifts of the ground beneath the outpost felt alive. He kept checking the perimeter cameras, but they continued to show only empty cliffs and shadows. He felt a mix of fear and fascination. Fear because he did not know the intentions of this mysterious being, and fascination because against every survival instinct, he wanted to understand her. Meanwhile, Virella crouched on a high ledge, observing him with unblinking eyes. She had been trained all her life to protect her world, to eliminate threats before they could act. Her people were warriors by blood and duty, fierce and disciplined. Yet this human did not act like an invader. He moved carefully, as if every step mattered, yet he did not hide in fear. He carried himself with quiet determination and curiosity. That intrigued her. She had never seen another species like this one, that valued life, yet was unafraid of danger. For the next few days, Aaron became increasingly aware of subtle signs around the outpost. Supplies were moved slightly, tools appeared in places he did not leave them, and footprints, large and unlike anything he had catalogued, showed up in the soft soil near the cliffs. He tried to explain it to his team, but most of them dismissed his concerns as stress or paranoia. Yet, deep down, Aaron knew he was not imagining things. On the 5th day, he decided to venture further than before. He packed a small satchel with equipment, energy sensors, and a light rifle not to attack, but for safety. As he climbed the rocky trail toward a particularly high vantage point, the wind carried with it a low rumble. He paused, looking around. The cliffs seemed to shift in the dim sunlight, and then, suddenly, a massive rock slide began to fall. Aaron froze, unable to react quickly enough. A boulder the size of a car thundered toward him. Before panic could fully take hold, a blur of movement shot past him. Strong arms grabbed his waist and yanked him to the side. He rolled onto the ground, heart pounding, as the rocks crashed where he had stood just moments ago. He looked up, and for the first time, he saw her clearly. Virella stood on the edge of the fallen rocks, her armor scratched and dusty, her eyes steady and alert. She did not speak. She only watched him, as if assessing whether he was truly alive. Who are you?" Aaron managed to stammer, his voice shaking despite himself. She said nothing. She merely gestured for him to follow. Tentatively, he did, climbing carefully behind her as she led him down a safer path. The way she moved was unlike any human he had seen. Every step was precise, almost graceful, yet powerful. Even the smallest gestures seemed purposeful. Eventually, she stopped near a small ledge hidden from view. From there, Aaron could see the valley below, in all its strange, glowing beauty. He swallowed hard, realizing how close he had come to death, and yet how effortlessly she had saved him. "She saved me," he whispered to himself. The thought both terrified and fascinated him. Virella's eyes studied him, sharp and unyielding. She did not smile, but there was an unmistakable sense of caution mixed with curiosity in her gaze. She had been sent to observe humans, to determine if they were a threat. Yet this one, this fragile, determined human, was unlike any she had expected. There was a spark in him, something she could not ignore. Over the next several days, Aaron attempted to study her from a distance. He left food and tools in locations she could easily find. Trying to communicate in small ways, she accepted his offerings without aggression, yet remained elusive. Each time he thought he had approached too closely, she vanished, like a shadow, melting into the cliffs. Despite the fear that still gripped him, Aaron found himself thinking about her constantly. His fascination grew, fueled by the mysteries she represented. Who was she? Why was she here? And why had she saved him? One evening, as the green-hued sun dipped behind the cliffs, Aaron sat alone by his small campfire, staring at the darkness where she might be watching. The soft hum of the planet's wind and the distant calls of alien creatures created a strange, hypnotic symphony. Suddenly, a movement caught his eye. A silhouette, standing on a ridge. Virella watched him again, silent and unmoving, her presence undeniable yet distant. For a moment, Aaron felt a strange connection, as if the world itself had shifted to allow them this shared experience. He realized something profound. He was no longer simply a visitor on this planet. He was being watched, studied, and perhaps understood by a being far beyond human capability. Fear and fascination coexisted in him. He knew she could easily end his life if she wished, yet she did not. Instead, she observed, tested, and waited. And Aaron understood that this was only the beginning. The presence of the alien warrior had changed everything. His perception of danger, his understanding of courage, and the very nature of his mission. On Alarian 6, as night fell completely and the stars above the alien world shimmered faintly, Aaron felt a strange mixture of dread and anticipation. He was not alone. Someone far more powerful than him was present, watching, deciding, and perhaps, in some way, intrigued by him. And for the first time in his life, Aaron welcomed the unknown. Virella remained hidden, her eyes reflecting the faint light of the campfire below. She had observed countless beings, judged countless threats, but never before had she encountered one like him. His fear was real, but it was tempered by determination. His actions were cautious, yet brave. He valued life in a way she did not expect from humans. And so, she continued to watch, silently guarding, silently learning, as Aaron Hale, the human scientist, continued his research, unaware of the bond that was beginning to form between predator and prey, observer and observed, warrior and human. Aaron awoke to the soft glow of Ilarion Six's twin suns, peeking through the small window of his research cabin. Even after a full night's rest, his thoughts were consumed by the figure he had seen, the alien warrior who had saved his life. Despite the fear he still felt, there was a strange comfort in knowing she was near, observing, perhaps protecting. He stepped outside, careful not to make sudden movements, and scanned the cliffs. There she was again, a shadow among shadows, standing perfectly still, as if she were part of the cliffs themselves. This time, he decided he would not retreat. Slowly, he made his way toward the ridge where she had appeared the night before. His heart raced, but he kept reminding himself that fear and curiosity often walked together. When he reached the edge, she did not vanish. She watched him silently, her posture relaxed yet alert. For a moment, Aaron considered retreating. The thought of speaking to a being so far beyond human strength was terrifying. But then, courage bubbled within him, an instinct to understand, rather than flee. He lifted a hand in greeting. To his surprise, she inclined her head slightly. Then, with measured steps, she descended the ridge toward him. The movement was fluid and precise, each step deliberate. Aaron realized she was not just a creature of raw power, she was disciplined, trained, and intelligent. Thank you, Aaron said softly, his voice quivering, for saving me. I don't know why you helped, but I want to understand. Virella's eyes held his gaze for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice calm, low, and steady. I am Virella. I was sent to observe your kind, to decide if you are threat or ally. I do not attack unless necessary. Aaron swallowed hard. He had expected many things from this encounter, but not conversation. He nodded slowly, trying to steady his voice. I want to help. I don't understand this world fully, but I study it. Perhaps together, we can learn more. Virella tilted her head slightly, considering. Humans rarely spoke with such honesty, such openness. She sensed truth in his words, and she sensed his bravery. He stood facing her without weapons drawn, without hiding. There was something different in him, something rare and unusual. Before either could speak again, the ground beneath them trembled. Aaron stumbled, barely catching his balance, and Virella's hand shot out instinctively, steadying him. The tremor grew stronger, shaking loose small rocks from the cliffs above. He looked around, alarm spreading through him. What is that? He asked, voice tight. Virella's eyes narrowed as she scanned the cliffs and the valley below. A danger beneath the surface awakens. It is not your doing, human, but it threatens all here. I must stop it, or you will not survive. Aaron's mind raced. He had noticed strange energy readings near the cliffs for days, but he had not expected anything like this. Can I help? He asked. The question surprised even him, but something inside refused to stand by silently. Virella considered for a moment. Humans were fragile, and yet, this one spoke with a mixture of caution and determination she could not ignore. If you wish to act, you must follow my instructions precisely. One mistake could cost your life, she warned. Aaron nodded without hesitation. Together, they moved toward the valley where the energy readings were strongest. Aaron carried his sensors and scanning equipment, while Virella moved ahead, guiding him through rocky terrain with unmatched skill. He struggled to keep up, yet he did not falter. As they reached a narrow canyon, the source of the disturbance became clear. A massive fissure had opened in the ground, glowing with strange energy. From within, a creature stirred, a massive, subterranean life form. Its bulk, moving beneath the earth, unseen, but felt in the vibrations that shook the canyon floor. Aaron's heart pounded. He had never seen anything like it. He activated his sensors, and tried to predict the creature's movements. Virella stood beside him, poised to act. Her armor gleamed faintly in the alien light, and her eyes were fixed on the fissure, calculating every possibility. The creature's first strike came as a violent shockwave, throwing Aaron off his feet. He tumbled into the soft soil, but Virella was immediately at his side, lifting him to safety with a strength he could hardly comprehend. He watched as she moved, agile and precise, intercepting the energy bursts and redirecting their force. "I can guide you," Virella said, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Place the devices where I indicate. Your knowledge may calm it." Aaron scrambled to comply, placing sensors and energy stabilizers around the fissure as Virella instructed. She moved like a shadow, her presence both protective and commanding. He realized that while her strength was extraordinary, her judgment and discipline were equally remarkable. Minutes passed, each one stretching like an eternity. Aaron's hands shook, but he did not stop. Virella's gaze never wavered from him, as if she silently encouraged him to continue. Slowly, the creature's movements began to stabilize. The energy readings decreased, and the ground tremors softened. Finally, with a final adjustment to the stabilizers, the fissure closed gradually, the glowing energy dimming until it vanished entirely. The canyon grew quiet, and the air felt lighter, free of the oppressive force that had threatened them. Aaron collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily. "We did it," he whispered, disbelief and relief mixing in his voice. Virella approached, standing tall beside him. She did not speak, but she watched him closely, as if measuring the courage and determination she had witnessed. For the first time, she felt respect, not as a warrior to a creature, but as a being recognizing another. "You survived," she said finally. "Few would have. Few would have acted with such care and resolve." Aaron looked at her, feeling a warmth that went beyond relief. I think we make a good team," he said. There was no fear in his tone now, only recognition of the bond formed in the midst of danger. Virella studied him for a long moment. She had observed countless beings in her life, judged countless threats, and fought countless battles. But never before had she encountered one like Aaron Hale. His species had flaws, yes. But within those flaws lay courage, determination, and a will to preserve life even in the face of danger. That was something worth protecting. Her people would arrive soon, expecting her to report whether the humans were a threat. She had made her choice. "They are not a threat," she said aloud, though only Aaron could hear. "They are brave. They seek knowledge. They deserve protection." Aaron glanced at her, understanding only part of what she meant. But he felt it, the unspoken bond, the trust forged through danger, and the promise of something greater. For the first time, he did not feel fear in her presence. He felt partnership. The alien warrior and the human stood together in the soft glow of the planet's light. A silent alliance formed between two beings from different worlds. Neither spoke for a long time, content to simply exist in the moment, each learning from the other. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the cliffs and valleys, Aaron knew this was only the beginning. There would be challenges, perhaps even dangers greater than the one they had faced. But he no longer felt alone. Virella remained at his side, her posture relaxed but alert, a guardian and observer who had chosen to trust. Aaron understood now that fear could become respect, and respect could become partnership. The humans of Ilarian 6 were no longer isolated. They had an ally, unlike any they could have imagined. Together, they turned toward the outpost, moving with quiet confidence. The cliffs no longer seemed threatening, the shadows no longer frightening. The alien warrior who had once terrified Aaron now stood as proof of something extraordinary. That courage, intelligence, and the willingness to understand could bridge even the greatest divides. Aaron could feel the energy of the planet in a new way, alive, challenging, and full of possibilities. And by his side, Virella, the alien warrior, watched not with hostility, but with purpose and quiet pride. They had faced the unknown together and had emerged stronger, connected not by language or species, but by respect and the shared understanding that survival and courage often walked hand in hand. The night settled over Ilarion 6, calm and quiet. Yet in that calm, both human and alien were alert, ready for whatever this strange world might bring. And as they walked back toward the outpost, a new chapter began for humanity, for Virella, and for the bond between two worlds that had once seemed impossibly distant.